Good evening, I'm Kelda Yoon. A man is recovering in hospital tonight after a pickup truck swerved off the road in Whitby, striking the pedestrian on the sidewalk before catapulting into someone's backyard pool. It happened near Roslyn Road East and Thixon Road this afternoon. As Dale Manuktuk reports, police now trying to figure out what led to this chaotic crash.
We're most thankful that it wasn't in the summer and we weren't enjoying a day in the pool.
It was just before 1 p.m. when Karen Fedek was startled by a loud noise. She had no idea what she'd come to find.
All I heard was what I thought was an explosion and kind of like a swoosh kind of thing. I didn't know what it was. I thought it could have been a small aircraft plane crash. And I looked out and I saw this half-ton truck in my pool.
Many residents looked on in disbelief.
Scary, actually. You wonder what happened and how it is. I just hope everybody's okay and nobody's seriously injured.
Police say this white Dodge Ram was traveling eastbound on Roslyn Road in Whitby.
When it went off the roadway through the intersection, struck a pedestrian, went through a backyard fence into a pool where it came to a stop.
He was obviously a little bit dazed, but he seemed okay, but they told him to stay in the car.
Police say the pedestrian, an adult man, was in the wrong place at the wrong time when the pickup truck went off the roadway and struck him. When he was initially assessed, it was serious, life-threatening injuries. He was transported to a Toronto hospital where he's since been upgraded to stable condition.
Well, thank God, you know. It's sad. At the end of the day, it's someone's uncle, someone's father. You know, our hearts go out to them.
Police are still determining what led to the crash. The collision reconstruction unit spent the afternoon trying to piece it together.
And they are trying to build a timeline of exactly what transpired and exactly what occurred prior to the driver losing control and going off the roadway. So all of these are going to be answers that we'll gain from the investigation as it goes along.
About 6 hours after the crash, crews were able to lift the truck out of the pool. Durham police are asking anyone with information to contact them. Dale Manuktuk, CBC News, Whitby.
Another dramatic scene tonight, this time in North York, as Toronto police say this stolen car crashed into two homes. It happened just after 7:30 near Derry Down and Sentinel Roads. Police say the occupants of the vehicle fled the scene on foot, and the car had been reported stolen earlier. Thankfully, no one was seriously hurt. The car first crashed into a home, then hit the front porch of another. A Toronto City Councillor's sexual assault trial wrapped up its third day in Cottage Country this afternoon. Michael Thompson is facing two complainants, both accusing him of sexual assault during a Canada Day weekend gathering in Muskoka 2 years ago. Lane Harrison has the details.
Happy Thanksgiving. Councillor Michael Thompson left the Bracebridge Courthouse today after 3 days of testimony and intense cross-examination of the first witness in his trial. The 24-year-old, who is not one of the complainants, took up the entire first week of the proceedings in Bracebridge, which ran on Monday, Thursday, and Friday. During the witness's testimony, the defense pointed out that she didn't call the police or anyone else when one of the complainants alleged Thompson had sexually assaulted her at the cottage. Today, the Crown Attorney asked her to explain why. The witness, who was 22 at the time, told the court, quote, "I guess it's because I'm used to dealing with many situations of stress by myself. I'm used to having to be my own protector. I thought I could just make sense of things and navigate things myself at the time." End quote. The court heard Thursday that the witness was contacted by police to be part of the investigation. She did not contact them. Thompson is facing 2 allegations of sexual assault from women who joined him and the witness at the Port Carling cottage in 2022. According to the Crown, the first is from a woman who alleges Thompson touched her sexually without her consent during a massage. The second is from a woman who alleges Thompson forced himself on her in the middle of the night when she was very drunk. Today, the witness also provided more details about how the Scarborough councillor was acting at the cottage. She said that over the course of the weekend, Thompson was keen to show people how bouncy his bed was. She said he did this with all the women. She said he was, quote, making it seem like it was a phenomenon, end quote. Outside the courthouse, Thompson's lawyer provided little insight into how his team felt about the first week.
I think it went exactly the way it was supposed to go.
What do you mean by that?
We got to hear from a witness, and the case is still ongoing, and we're starting to get into the meat of the case.
The meat of the case, meaning the two key witnesses in the trial, the women who brought forward the allegations. They are expected to testify when the trial resumes the week of October 21st. Lane Harrison, CBC News, Bracebridge.
A Toronto police officer serving 7 years in prison for stealing from people while on duty and falsifying documents has been sentenced to 11 more months in custody. Constable Boris Borisov had the extra time tacked onto his sentence after pleading guilty today to violating his bail conditions. He stole debit cards and a watch from people who were either missing or deceased and was waiting to be sentenced when he attempted to board a flight to Rome from Montreal this summer using a fake Bulgarian passport. The Crown argued the police officer had a one-way ticket as part of a sophisticated plan to escape and avoid being sentenced for his crimes. His defense lawyer described it as a stupid scheme destined to fail. After being credited for time served, Borisov will remain in prison for 8 additional months on top of his original 7-year sentence. The OPP is reminding drivers to follow traffic rules and practice patience behind the wheel during what's expected to be a busy long weekend on the roads.
You get that extra day off for the weekend, and the increase of traffic, with that increase of traffic becomes, more impatient people. They want to get to their destination quicker. And with that increase of traffic, we're going to run into the same issues, right? Of inattentiveness and more people on their cell phones today.
OPP says it is joining police services across the country for a Thanksgiving traffic blitz targeting impaired, distracted, and aggressive drivers, all in an effort to reduce serious or fatal collisions through the busy holiday. Police say 296 people have died on Ontario roadways so far this year, most of them linked to drivers not paying attention. Members of the provincial government and Toronto Police were at the Old Downsview Airport today, updating people on the new helicopter that the city is set to receive. The police chief says the air support will be critical to the ongoing fight to crack down on hard-to-tackle crime such as auto theft. Chris Glover has more.
Toronto is getting one of 5 new helicopters that are coming to the province of Ontario, and the Solicitor General started the press conference today saying you might be surprised that a city the size of Toronto doesn't actually have a dedicated helicopter at this point. That is set to change. And let's show you through the eyes of Constable Ramsey here what we do have at the moment. We have these drones that operate in the city right now, and they are certainly helpful, able to go and offer air support for police investigations, but they do come with a lot of limitations. So they only can be flown as far as the eye can see. They can't follow, for example, street racing, and they just don't have the speed or the versatility of a helicopter, which brings us to the other vehicle that you're seeing here, and that, of course, is the helicopter. Ontario currently only actually has 2 helicopters. Both of them are flown out of Aurelia and service the entire province. So obviously getting more of them is hugely important, according to the police agencies that were here today. The chief of Toronto's police force, Myron Demkew, was here today saying that this arrangement that they've been doing with the OPP using one of the 2 helicopters that they have has been helpful, but having a dedicated helicopter that will fly out of Toronto is crucial.
The Air Support Unit adds a dynamic new tool for the Toronto Police to be able to respond to various circumstances that are often dangerous and very unpredictable. I think about high-speed pursuits, dynamic gun calls, large crowd management, and missing vulnerable persons.
This is all coming at no cost to the city of Toronto. That's because the province of Ontario, back in late July, Premier Doug Ford announcing these 5 helicopters, one of which is going to be dedicated to Toronto. It's all going to cost the province about $134 million, but that is money that is well spent, according to the Associate Minister of Auto Theft and Bail Reform. Here's more from him.
We think that people should be able to feel confident that their car will still be in their driveway when they wake up in the morning. We should feel safe walking to the corner store, going to work, and certainly in our own homes. And how do we do that? We do that by getting tough on crime, investing in police, giving these guys and gals the tools and the resources they need to do their jobs.
These 5 helicopters and the one coming dedicated for Toronto, they still are not going to be here for another 12 months or so. And after that, 5 dedicated Toronto police officers will be working with this air support unit using these helicopters. But in the meantime, they'll have to rely on the loaner from the OPP or the drone system that they're already using. Chris Glover, CBC News, Toronto.
All 3 levels of government agree student nutrition is important and harder than ever to provide given the high cost of food and living. But dishing out a national food program in our province is still in flux. Ali Chiasson has more on where it stands.
Ontario, which used to be a leader on school food, hasn't had an increase in 10 years.
And so what does that look like?
There's 21 schools on a waiting list, and many schools are cutting back, having to cut a banana in 4 pieces or 6 pieces, you know? It's just really very, very difficult.
The federal government has budgeted $1 billion to establish a national food program this year, and Newfoundland was the first to reach a deal with them in September, so they're already doling out free lunch for kids. But what about Ontario? There are calls to double what Ontario provides for lunch programs, upping it to just over $64 million. So, Premier, what say you?
We want to work with the federal government. We actually are in the midst of discussions right now with the feds. I'm all in. We're just waiting to hear the amount from the federal government, what they're going to be pitching in.
The City of Toronto says they're more than ready, actually voting in council to dish out a universal program where every kid gets a meal in school, not segregating it to kids in need versus others, as outlined by the city's Chief Medical Officer of Health.
When you select and isolate only certain students to be eligible to receive food under a school food program, unfortunately what has happened, and this has been borne out in the evidence, is that those who need it the most don't take advantage of it.
Council voted 23-1 in favor of Mayor Chow's motion for the city to start planning the rollout of the food program once the funding deal is reached between the province.
I think there is now a great desire for us to provide decent meals, whether it's between breakfast and lunch or a lunch. We'll work towards a universal food program in schools, and that would answer the prayers of a whole lot of parents and a whole lot of kids.
The aim is to start dishing out morning meals as soon as January. There is some optimism that that can actually happen since all 3 levels of government are at the table on the issue of student nutrition. Ali Chiasson, CBC News, Toronto.
Welcome back. The Toronto Maple Leafs home opener is just a day away, and fans heading to Scotiabank Arena tomorrow might notice some pretty big changes. Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment is about halfway through some upgrades to the venue. Greg Ross now with a look at just some of the changes.
Scotiabank Arena has taken a big step into the future with some major high-tech improvements that many fans will notice the minute they walk through the door.
60% of our fans are coming into the arena through Gate 1 from Union Station and elsewhere. The first thing they're going to see tomorrow night is an immersive Toronto Maple Leafs content on these 70 million pixels worth of LG LED technology, and that same storytelling will make its way all around the 100-level concourse.
You have your credit card, obviously. A number of concession stands on level 100 now use Amazon's Just Walk Out technology. It allows fans to grab what they want with automatic billing to their credit card.
Tap it, it'll be authorized, it'll open it up, so come with me. And what we're gonna now be able to do is pick up anything you want. So if you feel like having Sour Patch Kids, you can do that. You can put it in your pocket if you want. Let's go through, maybe grab a water. And anything else you want. There'll be hot food options as well. And once you're done, you simply walk out. You'll get charged. More importantly, you're back to your seat to enjoy the rest of the game.
Buying souvenirs is much quicker as well with this quick scan technology.
So if you drop that whole bag in the bin right now, everything calculates. It reduces our transaction time down from 45 seconds down to 12 seconds.
MLSE has also completely overhauled the lower level of the arena, ditching private boxes under the stands.
We used to have 20 bunker suites. So we've reimagined this 7,300 square foot space such that now we have the new MNP Pass Social Club.
200 season ticket holders will have access to this lounge, where they can also get up close and personal with players.
So for Leaf games, you have the Toronto Maple Leafs walking through this tunnel here, and at the other end, you have the visiting team. And for basketball games, you have a glass partition where you can view the Raptors and visiting NBA team for basketball games.
Also reimagined is the historic Hot Stove Lounge.
Why is the Hot Stove Lounge special? It's the original restaurant in an arena. It's from 1963 at the Garden. It's the first time that people could come dine and enjoy dinner at a game. And it's really been the precursor to other stadiums and arenas having clubs and restaurants in them. It's just got this nostalgic feel to it.
These upgrades are only about half of the renovations that are planned. Work will continue through the spring of next year. Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
The International Film Festival of South Asia is getting underway in Vaughan tonight. The 11-day event celebrates the best of South Asian cinema in Canada.
People of all kinds and colors come here and uplift each other, and it's a great opportunity for, to bring these stories to light in our society.
I Am No Queen is just one of the more than 100 film screenings at the festival this year. It also debuted at TIFF. The festival will also honor one of Indian cinema's most revered icons, Shabana Azmi. CBC is a presenting sponsor of IFSA this year. Well, time is ticking to check out a Toronto photographer's exhibition showcasing his exploration of Antarctica. It features stunning images of the icy continent that were taken during a 2023 trip. But as Tyreek Reed explains, the photos are also a call to action to help fight the effects of climate change.
Wow. Look at the size of this.
Neil Ever Osborne spent 5 days traveling to Antarctica in 2023. And then 20 days exploring and researching its land. He took photos of vast landscapes and the aquatic animals.
So there was this massive iceberg in front of us.
And while they tell the story of his beautiful expedition, they also tell a different story.
So we know so little about Antarctica. Each new revelation is giving us more information so we can make more sense of a warming world. Nowhere on planet Earth is going to be untouched by a warming world, including Antarctica. And we're making hypotheses, and we're making some conclusions that could be because of the warming temperatures.
The exhibition is meant to capture Antarctica's changing and melting landscapes, something he says is being driven by climate change. Because of this, Osborne says Antarctic species like emperor penguins are struggling to breed and also dying.
I made an image of a dead penguin chick encased in ice, and we're still trying to figure out what exactly has happened with these penguins, but we think there's two scenarios. One, they died naturally on the sea ice, but it could also be the case that these penguins have fallen into melt ponds, and we're making hypotheses, and we're making some conclusions that could be because of the warming temperatures.
Research shows Earth lost nearly 28 trillion tons of ice between 1994 and 2017, more than 2 trillion tons of this being from the Antarctic ice sheet, and 6 trillion tons being from the Antarctic ice shelves. Osborne is joining a global call to action to help protect Antarctic waters and its habitat. The campaign is calling on governments to help establish 4 large-scale marine protected areas around the continent. He hopes his exhibition will help others join that fight.
If we can get enough people to sign the petition, if we can get enough of this critical mass to influence the decision makers, we stand an opportunity to make some real meaningful consequences here, meaningful actions that could lead to the protection of Antarctica, and that can only be a good thing.
While he fights to save the world's most uninhabited continent, experts say more measures need to be taken to help protect it.
We really need to reduce carbon emissions. That is the #1 goal to keeping Antarctica the way it should be, which is in a deep frozen slumber.
Just like you and I get up in the morning and go to work, images can do that too, right? So in some ways, I feel like I have a responsibility to do more with this work. It's even an obligation.
The exhibition at Berenson Fine Art in Yorkville wraps up this weekend. Tyreek Reed, CBC News, Toronto.
Yeah, Chris, some stunning images there, obviously also highlighting a very important problem.
Yeah, it's a huge problem. And I mean, global warming is going to continue unless we step in. Obviously, not all of it is man-made, created by humans, but a huge significant part of it is. So obviously, keep that in mind. Cooling, though, is what we're heading for this weekend. Doesn't mean global warming isn't real, folks. Normal daytime high for this time of year is close to 15, and we did peak at 22 today, 25 in Windsor, 17 through Ottawa, so seasonably mild today, but we do have a cold front moving in from the north. Not much in terms of dramatic active weather out there. There is some showers and a few thunderstorms kind of weakening as it heads off towards the south and east. After that passes, more of a northwesterly wind kicks in tonight and into the day tomorrow, which means we are going to be a little bit cooler, but seasonable for tomorrow with daytime highs generally in the mid-teens. It looks like a beautiful day out there across the board, even if you're heading to the cottage tomorrow. Mostly sunshine expected. Then we cloud over as we head into the evening, and there will be an area of rainfall that moves in first to southwestern Ontario, so steady rainfall is expected by the evening. A few showers through the GTA, a lesser risk of rain for Saturday and Saturday night north and east of the GTA. Once we get into Sunday, for the most part, most areas will escape with mostly cloud cover. There will be a few hit or miss showers out there, primarily during the late afternoon, but it looks like during the evening that we have a higher risk of showers building in. And as we get through Sunday night and into Monday, I'm fast forwarding too far, we do have the opportunity to see some wet snow mix in, primarily over higher terrain up the escarpment, so higher elevation. I don't think that this is going to stick on the ground. It will likely melt on contact, more of a visual distraction, but just something that I wanted to point out. 'Tis the season to get into some wet snow mixing in with rain from time to time, especially with those overnight lows down into the low single digits in areas to our north. Monday looks to be the wettest of the 3 days, obviously, with periods of light rain, showers, once again mixing, and by the afternoon, some of that mixing will move off towards the east through the Kawarthas, once again melting on contact, visual distraction though. Daytime highs and overnight lows are going to be a little bit higher for tonight into the day tomorrow. Daytime highs generally in the mid-teens. We're going to hold at around 13 for Sunday. Monday, the wettest day with highs near 9. 9 again, Kelda for Tuesday with mostly cloud cover. Then a mix of sun and cloud for Wednesday. Temperatures back in the double digits, just barely.
Thanks so much, Chris.
You got it.